Let's get one thing straight: being soft isn't kindness, it's surrender. Every time you let someone cross your boundaries, disrespect you, or take advantage of your time and energy, you are silently screaming, "I don't value myself." How long will you keep playing small? How long will you sacrifice your peace just to keep others comfortable? Here's the cold, hard truth: the more you let people walk over you, the more they will. You think you're being nice, but what you're really doing is giving the world permission to treat you as insignificant. You're teaching them that your needs don't matter, that you don't matter. Does that sting? It should, because the longer you ignore it, the deeper you bury your own power. Stop lying to yourself. You say you're avoiding conflict, but deep down, you're avoiding growth. You're avoiding the discomfort of standing up for yourself, of saying no, of risking rejection. But let me shatter that illusion for you. Avoiding conflict doesn't create peace, it creates resentment. And that resentment, it doesn't just poison your relationships, it poisons your soul. Kindness without strength isn't kindness, it's self-betrayal. Every time you say yes when you mean no, you betray the most important relationship you'll ever have, the one with yourself. Do you think people admire those who bend over backward for everyone? They don't. They exploit them. They drain them. And when there's nothing left to take, they move on. But here's the truth they don't want you to know: the moment you stop being soft, everything changes. When you start saying no without guilt, people will notice. Some will push back. Some will leave. And that's exactly what needs to happen. The wrong people will walk out of your life. The right ones will stay, and they'll respect you more. Don't be afraid of losing people. Be afraid of losing yourself. The next time someone crosses your boundary, don't smile and pretend it's fine. Pause, breathe, then calmly say, "That doesn't work for me." Practice saying no to things that don't serve you, small things at first. Each no is a brick in the foundation of your strength. Stop chasing approval. Most people are too focused on themselves to even notice the effort you're putting in to please them. The truth is, you don't need their approval. You need your own. Being soft to everyone doesn't make you kind. It makes you invisible. It's time to stop living for others and start living for yourself. When you stop being soft, you don't become cruel, you become whole. You become unshakable. You finally become you. Start today, because if you don't, who will? You've been taught to please others, to bend over backward to make people happy, to give and give until there's nothing left. But here's the shocking truth: this constant pursuit of approval is draining you, and it's leading you further away from the real power you already have within you. Every time you allow someone to overstep your boundaries without consequences, every time you say yes when your heart says no, you lose a little more of yourself. You're giving away pieces of your soul, and in doing so, you're not just depleting your energy, you're teaching others that you don't matter. Stop being soft to everyone. Kindness without boundaries is not kindness, it's self-betrayal. If you allow people to walk all over you in the name of kindness, you are not helping them, you are sacrificing your peace and energy for something that will never be returned. The truth is, kindness without limits breeds resentment, not love. It makes you invisible, and in the end it leaves you drained and unfulfilled. Learn to say no without guilt. It's not selfish, it's self-respect. When you begin to assert your boundaries, you invite true relationships built on mutual respect. Start small. Decline a task that drains you. Say no to a commitment that doesn't align with your values. It will feel uncomfortable at first, but this discomfort is the sign that you are beginning to honor your own needs. And remember, saying no to something that doesn't serve you is saying yes to yourself. Understand this silence and presence are powerful. You don't have to shout, beg, or constantly prove yourself to be seen and heard. Your true power lies in your ability to remain grounded, to stay calm in the midst of chaos, and to project an energy that commands respect without words. People are drawn to this kind of presence because it's not about forcing yourself into the spotlight, it's about embodying confidence and clarity without needing validation from anyone. You don't need to fight for respect, your grounded presence will speak for you. But here's where the real shock comes in. When you set boundaries, people may leave. Let them. Those who were only in your life because you allowed them to take from you will fall away. And that's not a loss, it's a gain. The right people will stay, and they will respect you more because you have shown them what you're truly worth. The wrong people were never meant to be in your life anyway. Let them go and create space for relationships that are built on respect, not on neediness or manipulation. Every time you let go of someone who doesn't honor your boundaries, you make room for those who will. You are not losing, you are clearing the path for a better, truer connection. Now we must face the most difficult truth of all. You have to stop seeking approval from everyone around you. The more you try to make others happy, the more invisible you become to yourself. It's an exhausting, endless chase that will never bring you the peace or satisfaction you're craving. When you stop trying to please everyone, you can finally start to please yourself. You stop sacrificing your peace and energy for others' fleeting approval, and you begin to create a life that is authentic and true to your own values. You are enough as you are. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. Lastly, remember this: reclaim your power through action. Reclaiming your power doesn't mean becoming harsh or unapproachable. It means being clear, consistent, and firm in your own truth. It's about choosing yourself every single day, no matter how uncomfortable that may feel at first. It's about showing up for yourself, setting boundaries, and never apologizing for it. The more you stand in your truth, the more others will begin to respect you, not because you demanded it, but because you embodied it. It's not about becoming hard, it's about becoming whole. You don't need to fight the world. You need to align with yourself. Start now. Take the first step in reclaiming your power. Draw your boundaries. Honor your worth. Say no when you need to. And watch how your world shifts. Watch how your energy returns, how your relationships become more authentic, and how you step into your true power. Every single time you allow someone to cross your boundaries without addressing it, you send a subtle but powerful message: my boundaries don't matter. This silent permission teaches others that they can ignore your needs, overlook your feelings, and treat you however they please. It's not an act of kindness to endure this, it's an act of surrender. And with each surrender, you lose a part of your own power, dignity, and self-worth. But here's the truth that can set you free: you are always teaching people how to treat you. Whether through your words, your actions, or your silence, you're constantly setting the standard for what you will and won't accept. The question is, are you teaching others to value and respect you, or are you teaching them to disregard you? The good news is, it's never too late to change the lesson. It begins with a single step: choosing to honor yourself enough to address disrespect calmly, firmly, and consistently. The first step is understanding the root of your silence. Why do you allow people to cross your boundaries? Is it fear of conflict? Fear of rejection? A desire to be liked? Recognizing this fear is crucial because once you identify it, you can begin to dismantle it. Often we brush off disrespect because we've been conditioned to believe it's not worth addressing. We tell ourselves it's not a big deal, or I don't want to make a scene. But the truth is, small acts of disrespect accumulate over time. They don't just hurt in the moment, they erode your self-respect. To stop this cycle, start noticing the moments when something doesn't feel right. Pay attention to your body. Does your stomach clench? Does your chest tighten? These are signals that someone has crossed a line. Speaking up can feel terrifying, especially if you're not used to it. But remember, standing up for yourself is not about creating conflict, it's about creating clarity. You are not responsible for how others react, you are only responsible for expressing your truth. Before you respond, take a deep breath and center yourself. Remind yourself that your feelings are valid and that you deserve to be treated with respect. When addressing disrespect, your tone matters more than your words. Speak from a place of calm strength, not anger or frustration. This isn't about proving a point or winning a battle, it's about honoring your boundaries. For example, if someone speaks to you rudely, you can say, "I don't appreciate being spoken to that way. Please speak to me with respect." If they dismiss your feelings, respond with, "I'm serious about this. I won't continue this conversation unless it's respectful." These statements are clear, direct, and leave no room for misinterpretation. You're not attacking the other person, you're simply stating your boundary. Words alone aren't enough. If you don't back up your boundaries with action, they lose their power. Consequences don't have to be dramatic, but they do need to be consistent. For instance, if someone repeatedly interrupts you, you can calmly say, "I'll finish speaking, and then I'd like to hear your thoughts." If they continue, you may choose to disengage from the conversation entirely. The message is clear: you won't tolerate being ignored. Not everyone will respond positively when you stand up for yourself. Some may resist, argue, or even distance themselves. This can be painful, but it's also necessary. The people who truly value you will adapt to your boundaries and respect them. The ones who don't were never meant to stay in your life in the first place. Letting go of relationships that don't honor your worth isn't a loss, it's a gain. It creates space for healthier, more respectful connections. Each time you address disrespect, you take a step toward reclaiming your power. This is no small feat, it's an act of courage and self-love. Celebrate these moments, no matter how small they seem. Write them down, reflect on them, and notice how they shift the energy in your relationships. Over time, you'll find that the world begins to mirror the respect you've cultivated within yourself. Stopping disrespect isn't just about teaching others how to treat you, it's about transforming how you see yourself. When you stand up for your boundaries, you reinforce your own self-worth. You begin to trust yourself more deeply, to feel more grounded and secure in your own skin. And as you embody this respect, the world around you changes. People who once dismissed you will start to take notice. New opportunities will arise. Your relationships will deepen and strengthen, built on a foundation of mutual respect. Respect begins with you. Teach the world what you're worth by treating yourself as worthy first. Start now. The change begins with a single decision: I deserve better, and I won't settle for less. Being overly soft doesn't inspire love or appreciation, it creates opportunities for others to exploit you. This is a painful truth that many of us struggle to accept. We're taught to believe that kindness, generosity, and always being available will earn us respect and connection. But here's the harsh reality: kindness without boundaries isn't kindness, it's self-betrayal. Every time you say yes when your heart says no, you abandon yourself in an attempt to please someone else. Why do we do this? Often, it's driven by a deep fear of rejection or conflict. We tell ourselves, if I just agree, they'll like me more. If I don't push back, I won't cause any tension. But this mindset doesn't lead to harmony. It leads to resentment toward others for taking advantage and toward yourself for allowing it to happen. Let's be clear, saying no doesn't make you unkind. It makes you honest. True kindness begins with respecting your own limits, and from that foundation you can offer genuine, sustainable support to others. If your kindness comes at the expense of your own well-being, it's no longer a gift, it's a sacrifice. So, how do you break free from the cycle of guilt and overcommitment? Start small. Begin by noticing the times when you instinctively want to say yes, even though you know it will cost you more than you're willing to give. Maybe a colleague asks you to stay late for a project you're not responsible for. Maybe a friend insists on meeting at a time that's inconvenient for you. Pause in these moments. Breathe. Ask yourself one crucial question: am I agreeing because I truly want to, or because I feel obligated? If the answer is obligation, practice saying no. You don't need to justify your decision or give a long explanation. A simple, polite response is enough. For example, I appreciate you asking, but I'm unable to help this time. Or, that doesn't work for me right now, but I hope you find the support you need. These words may feel uncomfortable at first, but they are acts of self-respect. It's essential to understand that setting boundaries doesn't make you selfish. On the contrary, it allows you to give your time and energy to the things that truly matter. When you prioritize your well-being, you show up more fully and authentically for the people and commitments that align with your values. Saying no to what drains you creates space for what fulfills you. As you practice this, you'll start to notice a shift in how others perceive and treat you. Those who genuinely care about you will respect your boundaries. They might even admire your strength and clarity. On the other hand, those who benefited from your lack of boundaries may push back. Let them. Their resistance is a reflection of their expectations, not your worth. Over time, this practice becomes less about saying no to others and more about saying yes to yourself. It's about reclaiming your time, your energy, and your life. It's about recognizing that you deserve the same kindness and consideration you so freely give to others. True kindness isn't about pleasing everyone. It's about acting from a place of integrity where your generosity is a choice, not a compulsion. By setting boundaries, you ensure that your kindness is a source of strength, not a cause of exhaustion. And as you honor yourself, you inspire others to do the same. Kindness without boundaries is a betrayal of the most important relationship you'll ever have, the one with yourself. Start today. Practice saying no, even if it's in small, manageable ways. Celebrate each time you honor your limits, no matter how insignificant it may seem. Each step you take toward asserting your boundaries is a step toward a life where your kindness is respected, your time is valued, and your worth is never questioned, least of all by you. You don't need to shout or beg to command respect. In fact, the most powerful form of influence often comes from the quietest, most grounded presence you can bring into a room. So often we believe that to be heard, we must speak loudly, argue our point vigorously, or demand attention. But the truth is, a calm, centered presence can shift the energy of any situation more than words ever could. Think about it. How many times have you found yourself in the presence of someone who wasn't speaking much, yet their energy commanded the room? They didn't have to say anything for you to feel their strength and authority. That's the power of presence. It's the ability to remain grounded in your own sense of self, unaffected by the chaos or pressure around you. People feel this. They instinctively recognize it and respond with respect. The key to this kind of influence isn't in exerting force, it's in mastering the art of stillness. When you stand firm in who you are, when you are not easily swayed by the opinions or actions of others, you emit a sense of confidence that is far more powerful than any verbal argument. This doesn't mean you should be silent all the time, but it does mean that your words should be used with intention. When you speak, let it be from a place of clarity and purpose. Don't waste your energy on reacting or defending yourself. People respect those who speak with conviction, but more importantly, they respect those who don't feel the need to constantly prove their worth. To cultivate this power, you must first learn to be comfortable in silence. Silence isn't weakness, it's strength. It's the space where clarity is born, where true understanding emerges, and where wisdom is often found. In silence, you're not just waiting for your turn to speak, you're observing, reflecting, and allowing the moment to unfold as it is. When you find yourself in a difficult situation, whether it's a confrontation or a disagreement, resist the urge to react immediately. Instead, take a moment to breathe, to center yourself, and to listen deeply. You don't have to have an immediate answer or even an opinion. Often just listening with presence and intention is enough to diffuse tension and invite a more respectful exchange. People are drawn to those who have mastered this inner peace. When you show up with a calm, grounded energy, you give others permission to do the same. Your presence creates a space for others to lower their defenses and engage in a more thoughtful, respectful way. This power isn't about controlling others. It's about controlling yourself. It's about remaining true to your own center, no matter how the world around you may try to shake you. The more you strengthen this inner composure, the more you'll notice how situations begin to shift in your favor. Not because you forced them to, but because you didn't allow the external chaos to disturb your internal calm. Your silence speaks volumes. It says, I am not desperate for validation. I know my worth, and I don't need to prove it to anyone. The more you practice this, the more others will begin to see you as someone who is unshakable, a person whose presence commands respect without ever having to demand it. This power is available to you now in every moment. You don't need to raise your voice, become louder, or fight for your place. Simply stand firm in your truth. Stay grounded in your presence. Let your silence fill the room, and let it say everything that needs to be said. In doing so, you will command respect, not through force, but through the sheer strength of your own being. Constantly seeking approval from others is like running on an endless treadmill. The more you try to please everyone, the more drained you become, and the more invisible you feel in your own life. It's as though you're giving pieces of yourself to everyone else, and in the process, leaving nothing for yourself. Here's the hard truth: people will be disappointed no matter what you do, so stop trying to please them all. This might sound harsh, but it's a liberating truth that can free you from the cycle of self-sacrifice. The reality is, no matter how much you bend, twist, and contort to meet other people's expectations, it will never be enough for everyone. There will always be someone who doesn't agree, someone who feels let down, or someone who wants more from you than you can give. And in trying to meet those expectations, you lose sight of who you really are. You become a reflection of other people's desires, rather than a true expression of yourself. When you seek constant approval, you give away your power. You make your worth contingent on others' opinions, and this makes you vulnerable to disappointment, resentment, and confusion. You end up chasing something that's never truly within your control, other people's perceptions of you. But here's the shift: your worth is not defined by how much you can do for others or how well you meet their needs. Your worth is inherent. It comes from within. Think about it. How often do you find yourself agreeing to something, not because you genuinely want to, but because you're afraid of what someone might think if you say no? How many times have you kept quiet, pretended to be okay, or gone along with things simply to avoid conflict or disapproval? This constant people-pleasing is not only exhausting, it's unsustainable. The more you give, the less you have left for yourself. So, how do you break free from this cycle? It begins with detaching from the need for approval. This doesn't mean you stop caring about others or their feelings. It simply means you stop letting their approval define your actions. You learn to trust yourself, to honor your own needs, and to be at peace with the fact that not everyone will be happy with you, and that's okay. Start small. Begin by noticing the moments when you're seeking approval. When you agree to something out of fear of disappointing someone, pause. Ask yourself, am I doing this because it aligns with my values and desires, or because I'm trying to avoid discomfort or disapproval? Then gently release the need to please. Say no when you need to. Express your true thoughts even if they may not be popular, and let go of the fear of letting others down. It's not about being selfish or uncaring, it's about choosing yourself. When you stop seeking approval, you create space for authentic expression. You become more aligned with your true self, and when you do that, you attract relationships that are based on genuine respect and love, rather than on mutual neediness. Detaching from approval seeking requires a mindset shift. Recognize that it's impossible to please everyone, and that's not your job. Your job is to honor your truth, to stand firm in who you are, and to give your energy to things and people that truly deserve it. Those who truly care about you will appreciate your authenticity. They will respect your boundaries, and they will love you for who you really are, not for the version of yourself you're trying to create to meet their expectations. When you no longer seek validation from the outside, you create a solid foundation of self-worth from within. You become unshakable in your sense of self, knowing that your value isn't tied to external approval, but to the deep understanding that you are enough as you are. This is freedom. It's liberation from the endless cycle of trying to be everything to everyone. So start today. Step away from the need to please and step into your own power. The more you detach from the approval of others, the more you'll discover your own voice, your own path, and your own pace. And in doing so, you will finally find the freedom to live authentically, without the weight of other people's expectations hanging over you. Reclaiming your power begins not with force, but with clarity. So many of us have been taught that standing up for ourselves requires being harsh, confrontational, or aggressive. We think that to be respected, we must become tough, perhaps even cold. But the truth is, standing up for yourself doesn't mean being harsh, it means being clear and consistent. Reclaiming your power is not about hardening yourself against the world, it's about becoming whole, about being rooted in your own truth and showing up with the unwavering confidence that you deserve respect. The first step toward reclaiming your power is clarity of self. When you are clear about who you are, what you stand for, and what you will and won't tolerate, your actions speak for you. You don't need to yell, argue, or make a scene. Simply knowing your worth and honoring your boundaries is a powerful act. You no longer seek validation or permission from others because you understand that your value doesn't depend on their approval. Too often we shy away from standing firm because we fear rejection or conflict. We allow ourselves to be walked over in the hopes of maintaining peace or avoiding discomfort. But here's the truth: true peace comes not from avoiding conflict, but from addressing it with clarity and confidence. When you stand up for yourself, you create a space for authentic relationships where mutual respect is the foundation. You are not creating conflict, you are inviting clear communication and mutual understanding. Reclaiming your power is about consistency. It's not enough to assert yourself once and then fall back into old patterns. Power comes from the daily practice of upholding your boundaries and showing the world how you expect to be treated. It means saying no when you need to, even if it's uncomfortable. It means holding yourself accountable to your own standards and refusing to compromise your values for the sake of others. Every time you make a choice that aligns with your truth, you strengthen your sense of self. This journey requires courage, but it's not about becoming hard or unapproachable. The more you reclaim your power, the more whole and integrated you become. You no longer need to prove yourself to anyone, your actions speak for you. You begin to trust yourself more deeply. And as you do, you'll notice that your presence begins to have a natural authority. You no longer seek external validation because you are grounded in your own truth. You don't need to argue or explain yourself because your clarity is enough. Being whole means accepting all parts of yourself, the vulnerable, the strong, the gentle, and the firm. It means honoring your emotions without letting them control you. When you stand up for yourself with kindness and firmness, you embody a power that is rooted in self-respect and authenticity. This is the true essence of reclaiming your power. It's not about becoming someone you're not, it's about fully embracing who you already are. The key is consistency. Every time you stand firm, every time you assert your boundaries, and every time you choose yourself, you take back a little more of your power. Over time, this will transform your life. You'll stop giving away pieces of yourself to please others. You'll stop allowing toxic people to take up space in your life. Instead, you'll start creating the relationships and opportunities that truly honor and respect who you are. Reclaiming your power through action doesn't mean fighting the world, it means aligning with yourself. It's not about becoming hard or unapproachable, it's about becoming whole. The more you embody your truth, the more the world will reflect that back to you. And in doing so, you'll find yourself living a life where your boundaries are respected, your voice is heard, and your power is undeniable.